So, good afternoon from here. I am Luis Galucci for Metalargentumradio from Argentina. We are here with Sam from Fallujah to talk about his upcoming album, Xenotaph. First of all, how are you and how's life going so far?
Oh man, I'm doing great. Thanks for having me. Life's been good. We're slowly rolling out the album. We just put out a third single yesterday, so yeah, we're pretty psyched about all that, man. So things are good.
Nice. You know, I couldn't still listen to the album properly. I was just listening to the singles, which are pretty good, I think. I can't wait to to download it and have time to do it properly. But
Thank you, man.
first of all, how did you feel about Kyle Schaffer, the new singer, joining Fallujah after the release of Empyrean? And how was that integration process?
Oh man, I mean, we couldn't be happier to have Kyle. Kyle's like one of the best songwriters and vocal writers and performers I've ever met, and I think that's going to be very, very clear across the board on this record. You know, he's the kind of guy that like just everything that he does, there's something very good in it, whether or not it's like a finished thing or a demo. It's like we're always like, wow, that's really cool. So definitely very happy that he's in the band, of course, you know. And I think his performance on Empyrean also speaks for itself. You know, that was his first record with Fallujah. And from here, going into Xenotaph, you know, I mean, you can just hear that he's almost like untethered. Like I think of him as like kind of let off the I don't know, the chain or whatever. He's just like kind of doing more. He's pushing the boundaries of his vocals a little bit more, pushing into the clean vocals and kind of like letting his own style come through a little bit more. But I think it really fits the sound that we're all going for too. So yeah, all in all, man, very psyched to have Kyle on board, dude. So.
Very nice. How do you think his vocal style fits with the new sound of Fallujah?
Well, I mean, I think the fact that we're kind of pushing the clean vocal thing a little bit further with this record, I mean, that speaks for itself. You know, the part of the new direction that we're going in just is because there are more clean vocals. But he's also really pushing his harsh vocals as well. Like he has a few new screams that he's been working on. Like you know, I'm not a vocalist like he is, so I can't really speak to exactly what he's doing. But he's kind of implementing new harsh vocal techniques at the same time as implementing some new clean vocals. And I think all of that has led to just kind of like creating this newer sound that we're going for with this record. It really is very much driven by his vocal performance and writing style. And but I think it's turned out so sick. And I mean, I also think that it fits into the Fallujah, you know, world, like the Fallujah universe or whatever. You know, like if you listen to all the records and you listen to this record, I think undoubtedly it's still very much a Fallujah record. So, but yeah, his vocals have for sure played a key role in just evolving the sound that you'll hear on this album. So
beautiful, just beautiful. We are maybe a month away from Xenotaph, which is a particular name. Why did you choose this name, and what are you trying to say with it?
Sure. Yeah, we are a month away. I think as of today, it's 30 days, so that's super exciting. Yeah, so we were in Europe actually on tour with our buddies Vulvodynia and Ingested and Melancholia last year, and we were trying to come up with exactly what we wanted to call the album, because this album is a concept album, right? It tells like one complete story from beginning to end, and that's kind of like all Kyle again, just doing his thing, you know, being wanting to do that. And yeah, so we were trying to figure out exactly how we wanted to encapsulate the story into an album title. And we were playing with just words that we liked just to get kind of the creative whatever flowing. And we wound up with the word Xenotaph, which is like, that's like a tomb without a body, but not even just a tomb. It's like a memorial almost, you know what I mean? Like, you know, in memory of kind of deal. It's not quite a grave, but like a monument in which a body would be, but there's no body inside. So that's a Xenotaph. And considering that this album is very celestial and a lot of the themes in the story involve almost like not an alien, but like alien to us forces, we felt that Xenotaph was a great play off of the concept of a cenotaph. To me, it's sort of like if a cenotaph could take place or exist in another dimension that isn't quite like comprehensible to humans, you know. That's kind of what I interpret as Xenotaph is. And I think Kyle is the guy who's going to really have all the cards as far as everything's concerned, because he came up with the concept himself, and the story is his story that he's telling. But yeah, we all feel that Xenotaph is the best word for it all, you know.
Nice. The first thing that came to my mind when I heard Xenotaph was Xenomorph from the Alien franchise.
Yeah, totally. You know what? I'm glad you said that, because personally, I think I can speak for everybody when I say this, but we love that Xenotaph also kind of subtly nods to our favorite things, like H.R. Giger, you know, the Xenomorph is definitely one of them. You know, Epitaph, Xenochrist, you know, the Faceless songs, and Necrophagus, you know, all these things, like, in my mind, it kind of makes it fit even more because it's more personal to us. So yeah, the Xenomorph for sure, dude. Definitely.
Do you usually use books or movies for the composition? Not for the writing?
Yeah, you know what? There's definitely an inspiration for sure. In fact, one of our demos, which became the 7th song on the album, we just, as a working title, we named it after H.R. Giger, just because that was like the visual that kind of came out of that sound that we were building in the demo. So yeah, there's for sure inspiration drawn from movies, and especially for Fallujah, you know, because I think video games and video game soundtracks have been another inspiration, especially for Scott. Like back in the day, I've for sure heard him refer to certain Fallujah songs or Fallujah's music in general just as like Zelda-esque or kind of like nostalgic, you know, pulling musical ideas from like, you know, a source like that, where it's very musical and very different and very atmospheric and has like that nostalgic aspect to it, you know. So definitely video games, definitely movies, books for me for sure as well. And you know, like I'm a huge fan of the Dark Tower series and Stephen King in general. And so I'm definitely influenced by all that stuff. Absolutely.
You know, can you tell us about your involvement in this upcoming album? How did you get into the writing and the recording process? Speaking about yourself.
Sure. Yeah, you know, I was the touring guitarist for Fallujah for the Empyrean album cycle. And somewhere in the 3rd tour, I think we started to discuss kind of like plans to write another album and what that might look like. I wasn't 100% sure whether or not how I was going to be involved or whether I was going to be involved, but I wanted to be, and I think the guys wanted me to be at the time. So we just started talking about it, and eventually that just led to, hey, we're going to start writing this album. And, you know, I wound up going out to, at the time, Scott was living in California. Kyle and Scott were living in California. So I flew out there, and what I did personally, I brought a bunch of riffs with me to show them, just to see what would stick, you know. So I brought in just like my guitar profiles and some demos, just random material that I had collected that I thought maybe there's something here that could become like a part of a Fallujah song or whatever. And a handful of those things did wind up becoming real ideas that led to songs on the album. So that's kind of how that worked for me. Like it started out that way. Basically showed the guys a bunch of material. We picked our favorite things. We ran with it. We just kept developing it more and more. And then before I knew it, we were recording the album and on our way, dude. So,
you know, it's a big promotion from being a touring member to a full-time member. How do you feel about it?
I mean, I'm just incredibly grateful, dude. it's been amazing. I mean, I am very honored too, because I don't know, I want to make sure that I'm doing a good job at all times when I'm doing my job, whatever my job is. And to know that touring and being able to play the songs was going well enough that the guys wanted me to stick around permanently was that's pretty cool, man. So and then I also have to just give them a shout out for being as open to bringing me on board as possible. Like they've been open to me being like a creative part of the band. Like I'm writing with the guys, there isn't really anything that they've held me back on, you know what I mean? So they're just really a great group to be in a band with, so yeah, it feels great, and I can't wait to keep it going. This is my first album with the band, and yeah, so far I think so good. I want to keep it going like this.
Well, and being your first album, I think the singles already give us a glimpse of how it's going. But do you think they represent the musical direction of Xenotaph?
I do. And I also feel like this album is so, this album evolves in a way, right? Like it kind of starts out much more bright and positive and just descends into darkness at the end. It just gets really dark. And so I would say it's hard to choose any one song to represent the entire album, but I think these singles do a good job. If you listen to them together, you'll kind of hear the difference in each song. I mean, they're pretty different songs, and you could start to kind of get a sense of, okay, this album is not going to be just 8 songs that are all a lot alike. Like this is definitely a story that gets told in the music that, yeah, again, hard to encapsulate, but I do think that they encapsulate the spirit of the album very, very well, and the work that we put into it and the love that we gave it. I don't think that we could have necessarily gone wrong as far as sharing any one single over another one. I think that this album just is very interesting and diverse, so it's difficult to say that one song represents them all or gives a good sense. But yeah, I'm really psyched by the reception, and I love the singles that we chose. I think that they work really well. So yeah, I mean, it's just been a good experience.
Okay, you just spoke about representation and the essence of the album, but what is your favorite song? Sorry, of the album, and why?
Oh man, I'm gonna have to go with the title track, Xenotaph. It's just such a cool song, I think. You know what? I'll tell you why I really love it. One of my favorite things in the world, albums, right? I love an album. Like I want to listen to an album from track 1 to the final track, right? And probably my favorite part of an album is the last track. When the last track is done really, really well, I feel like it just makes you want to listen to the album again, right? One of the bands that I think does that really, really well is the Black Dahlia Murder, right? If you listen to a Black Dahlia Murder record, every time that you get to the last track, you feel like it's the last track. It's like the finale of the album. And they clearly put special care into making sure that it has the sonic characteristics of a last track on an album. And so when we were writing the album, and at this time we didn't know it was going to be the title track, we were just writing the final song. I think we all wanted to bring that spirit to it, that kind of spirit of finality. And I know I definitely did. And so that's kind of what we got. I think it's a really good album closer. So in the context of listening to the entire album, I just think that it's the best way that we could have ended the entire experience for everybody. Well, at least for myself, but I really do love that song. I think it just has all the spirit of what we were trying to do on this record, puts a great period at the end. And to me, I think it makes me want to go back and re-listen to the whole thing again, which I just love that feeling. So that's why.
That's a very interesting take. For the composition, maybe sometimes bands create a lot of songs, or maybe they are left out for a artistic direction of the album. Was
Mhm.
there any song that was left out that you think maybe this could be a good single or a good song?
That's a great question. You know what? Not really, because we were specifically writing an 8-track album.
No.
Like we wanted 8 songs, and once we had our 8, we were like, okay, we got them. However, I will say there were some riffs and ideas that definitely didn't make the album that I think could be really interesting to bring back in the future. I'll also say there weren't a ton. We were pretty direct with this one. We just kind of like wrote it, and there wasn't a lot that didn't, there wasn't a lot that got cut out, to be honest. I think we all had a very, very clear vision. We weren't just trying to write songs for the sake of putting out new music. Like we wanted to create this album that we were all picturing in our heads. Like we wanted it to be a concept album. We wanted to incorporate some more cleans and some more proggy aspects. We wanted it to have 8 songs, kind of like paying homage to albums like Planetary Duality and Epitaph, Traced in Air, like Cynic albums in general. Like we love those super dense death metal and progressive metal albums that fit into 8 tracks. Like that's what we want. So we really wound up with using, most of the material. But yeah, for sure, some ideas that could come back in the future,
Correct me before I make a mistake. Are you in another band called Inhale Existence?
Yeah, yes.
Yes.
Yeah. We haven't been doing much. But yeah, you are correct. Inhale Existence, definitely a thing.
How is your approach, or what is the difference in your approach of a song for Fallujah now and for that band, which maybe not ongoing right now?
That's a really good question. You know what? I even have a solo project where it even has another sound to it, right? Inhale Existence, my solo project, Fallujah, all 3 very, very different bands, and they sound very different. With Fallujah, I'm lucky that Scott is the visionary, right? Scott's the visionary of Fallujah, and he, traditionally speaking, up until this record, at least as far as I understand it, he's written pretty much all of the music himself. So Fallujah's sound, I mean, it really comes from Scott, right? Now on Xenotaph, it's much more collaborative, with myself and Kyle being pretty heavily involved here. It still sounds like Fallujah, of course, but so that's a really great question, because I had to enter on album 6 with like, how do I write something that could be accepted as a Fallujah thing, right? So I started by taking chords that I know Scott uses a lot and Fallujah uses, and trying to incorporate those into the things that I write. And I quickly found that was a challenge, because I wasn't used to doing that. But I definitely got better at it. And I also let myself be free to write whatever I wanted, and then just show everybody and see where we go. And there's at least 1 or 2 things on the album that I brought in that wound up making the cut, that were not really like traditional Fallujah sounds, but we turned them into Fallujah riffs. And I think when people hear that stuff, I don't think they're going to go, that's not Fallujah, I don't like this. I think they're probably going to think that it sounds like a new kind of like more intense version of Fallujah, like just some extra sonic like characteristics to it that are kind of interesting. And I'm talking mostly about tracks 7 and 8, where you're going to hear some of that stuff. So, yeah, I mean, Inhale Existence, it was kind of more just like a prog metal free-for-all for me when I was writing some of those songs, where just like wanted to pay tribute to some of my favorite like prog metal bands when I was growing up. Like I love periphery between the Buried and Me. Cynic is a big one, you know, and there's some death metal in there too, like some necrophagist influence on that. But I just wanted to be free to just kind of like do whatever I wanted in a prog metal sort of way. And my solo material is even more different than that, where it's freedom of whatever I want to write is just comes out, but it's also like I'm definitely trying to push the boundaries of like what can be accepted as guitar music with my solo stuff. So that's the third kind of thing, you know what I mean? Like it's 3 very different projects, I guess. But yeah, I don't know. I just kind of show everybody the material I've got, and if it sticks, it sticks, and if it doesn't, we move on. So
Okay. Now I can't wait to see the whole picture of Xenotaph. But you know, every release always brings a bunch of reviews from very positive to very negative. How do you think the album will be received for the people?
you know, I hope that it's received very positively. I can say that from everybody that we've shown it to, everybody that's heard it, they've been pretty happy with it, pretty psyched. I've never been through like a thorough review cycle for a new album before, so this is going to be a first for me. For all I know, even though everybody we've shown it to, for the most part, has really loved it, for all I know, viewers, it's going to be different. I'm not really sure yet, but if people's reception to it now is any indication, I think the album will be received pretty well. I could say that we're all very, very proud of it. So even if it wasn't received well, it's exactly what we wanted to put out there, and it's something that we're all really proud of. So, but super grateful to anybody who listens to it in the first place. Absolutely. I will say that the singles, the reception of the singles has been overwhelmingly positive too from fans, and so if that's any indication, I think things will be good. You know, I think it'll be a good one. So.
You know, to sum up a bit of the new record, how do you think Xenotaph reflects the evolution of the band, although you are a new member? And what message do you think do you want to convey through this particular music?
So you'll definitely hear a bit of the evolution of the album when you listen to it. I mean, it's like we were talking about before. You've got a lot of new kind of like vocals coming from Kyle, and then you've got a little bit of influence from me as far as like some new riffs and some new sounds and stuff here and there. It's very much a Fallujah record. It's going to stand on its own, but even though there's some evolution to it, and it's definitely a proggier album than in the past, it's definitely still a Fallujah record. And the message that I think we want to convey, well, as far as the lyrics are concerned, this is a concept album for sure. So the message in there, I mean, I want people to interpret the story how they're going to interpret it. So I would encourage everybody to read the lyrics along with the album and derive their own messages. Me personally, the takeaway that I have as somebody who did not write the lyrics, my interpretation is, and I don't want to spoil the concept or anything for anybody who doesn't want spoilers, but to me, it's a very triumphant album. I'll put it that way. The protagonist kind of goes through a very difficult journey, and you know, whether they come out of it or not, I don't really want to spoil it, but there are some lyrics towards the end that I remember kind of gave me chills, and it's the sort of thing that had I heard that at sort of a dark time in my life, you know, when I was going through something, it would have brought me a lot of peace and encouragement. So to me, it's the message is positive, and I think people will hear that as well. So
very nice take. How do you see the future of Fallujah, and what plans do you have for it?
We have a lot of plans, actually. We first and foremost, we want to start touring on this new material. And we have a couple of things in the works that I can't talk about yet, but we're really excited about. And we've already talked about what we're going to do for the next album, or the next whatever. I actually spoke to him. I don't even know if it's going to be an album or what yet. Like, we have lots of ideas, and we're all kind of busy right now. We're navigating the release, and then Scott's on tour with Entheos, and it's just a lot going on for all of us. But we definitely have plans to start writing some new material very soon. And we all feel the same kind of spark that I think we felt when we started writing Xenotaph, which is worth noting, because I remember all of us feeling very, very inspired and motivated to write when we started writing the album. I think we still have that same inspiration. Like, we want to push this even further. So as far as the future of Fallujah goes, I think definitely more new music, and we will continue to push as hard as we can to evolve our sound, and keep touring as well. So,
is South America part of this secret plan, maybe?
I hope so. I would love. There's definitely been lots of talk. So if we can make it happen, believe me, we will, as soon as possible. Definitely one of my top places to visit and top places to tour. Absolutely. So,
in the last year here in Argentina, we received a lot of bands for the first time in their history. What are your expectations, maybe, if you were to arrive to Argentina?
Oh, man,
or South America in general, maybe?
Expectations, I don't know. I would hope that people would be really psyched and would come out to shows. I know everybody would be very welcoming of us, everybody who does come out to a show. Yeah, I don't really think I'd have any expectations, but definitely hopes that it would be super, super sick. And I believe that it would be. I mean, at the very least, I would love to visit and see everything, just being able to go to new countries and new places, and to be able to do music while you're there is just a total treat, man. So yeah, I can't imagine that it wouldn't be an amazing experience. So,
well, we are here expecting you for a very long time, or at least in my case. On a more personal aspect, if you had to choose an album that was fundamental in defining your musical career, which would it be and why?
Oh, dude, that's such a great question. If I had to choose just one album,
you can make 2 or 3 if you want.
2 or 3. Well, I gotta say, my all-time favorite band is the Mars Volta.
Okay.
Yeah. So, Deloused and the Comatorium is a big one. Bedlam and Goliath is another big one. Amputexture. These albums are like they're so diverse and interesting, and they kind of like, fly in the face of what you could expect from an album, really. I mean, they just kind of do whatever they want to do. But on a more specific note, I really like the chord progressions that you'll hear on those records, and the kind of melodic choices that Cedric makes as a vocalist. Those things really have shaped me into the writer that I am. Like, I have musical tendencies because of those sounds that they've created, and then on more of a death metal front, Epitaph, Necrophagus was a huge influence. I also want to shout out a more niche band called John Frum. They have an album called A Stirring in the News, which is absolutely unbelievable. It's another album that's just 8 songs. It's like psychedelic death metal, super dissonant and dark, and it makes you feel like you're melting on a terrible acid trip. Like, it's so gnarly and interesting and sick. And let's see, what else do we have? Yeah, I think those are some big ones for me. Pantera was a big influence growing up. Meshuggah is a huge influence. Believe it or not, like Slayer, Megadeth, Metallica, if you want to go way back to when I was much younger, and I was just kind of starting out, like those were big influential bands for me. But yeah, if I had to choose a band, it would be the Mars Volta. If I had to choose an album, I guess I would go with Epitaph, Necrophagist, so.
I still haven't heard Inhale Existence, but I would say with those influence, you enter the right band with Fallujah.
Yeah, dude, yes.
See,
I
it
agree.
a little bit of everything.
Yeah, man, absolutely. And we brought, there's definitely some of that influence on this record that you'll hear for sure. So
I'm a usual listener of Fallujah. I am not very familiar with the touring history of the band, but in your personal aspect again, what do you prefer? Like bigger venues, outdoor stages, or maybe local clubs with people very close to you?
yeah, and they're both awesome, dude. I love when it's a big venue and the people are really close. That happens, and that's rare, but that's like a cool feeling, But yeah, they're both awesome, like to pack out a smaller club means it's a much more intimate show and it's going to be more intense maybe, but then to play to a bunch of people, that brings sort of another sense of thrill. So it's really hard to choose, but I will say I do love an outdoor stage, like you said. We played a few of those over the years that those are really fun, We played one though in Texas where we had like wasps on stage with us. That was not fun.
No,
there was like a wasp nest in the corner of this outdoor stage. I was like, oh, okay, I'm glad I'm not on that side.
and before we finish, tell me what is a spark that ignites every morning and allows you to continue with your musical career?
Dude, that's such a great question. This might sound kind of like sappy, but for sure the people that I get to work with, for sure. Like without like having community of people, I don't know that I'd be able to do this. Like I couldn't do this by myself. You know what I mean? Like getting up and having folks that are working on the same goals with you, that's definitely a very good thing. And same with like when you look at the social media aspect of everything, because that's such a big part of what we do now is social media. Seeing a lot of those people also doing the social media thing really helps, and seeing people put out really insane and sick records also helps. In fact, if you look at sort of the landscape right now, I feel like most bands right now are putting out records that are like totally game changers, at least for them. Like if you look at, the Xenotaph Passage or Legion or Rivers of Nile, I mean, there are tons of more bands, but like everybody is pushing really hard to one up themselves, I think. And we also tried to do that with Xenotaph. So I think a lot of that comes from everybody being closer because of social media and being able to see everybody doing what they're doing, and also in a very positive way. Like we're definitely have crafted like this kind of like new modern generation of a metal community where we're all very connected and get to basically interact with each other kind of like every day to a degree. So yeah, I would say that's a big part of it. And also the fact that people are as supportive as they are, like the fans and people who listen to music, the music lovers, the commenters, like everybody who engages and interacts. I mean, that stuff is like, it's really motivating for sure. It definitely makes me feel like I'm a part of something that's bigger than me just playing guitar, And yeah, I guess that and the prospect of putting out new music, playing shows. I mean, I wouldn't do this if I didn't love it in the first place. And I'm super passionate about just making music and writing music. So that also plays a big role. I like to have that feeling of working on something that I'm really excited by, that I'm really proud of. So yeah, I hope that answers that one. But a little rambly, but there you go.
Now that you mentioned Rivers of Nihil and you guys, sounds like a birthday party for me.
Yeah, Yeah, dude, for sure.
Are there any plans of playing together?
Well, you know what? We toured twice together in 2022, and we have all felt like we want to do it again. So the second that we get to, we will be there. Absolutely. I mean, we all love those guys. So yeah, shout out to Andy Thomas.
Okay, here, Andy. Well, as Sam, thank you for your time. Thank you for your willingness. Forgive my bad English.
Oh, dude, you're great. No
My
worries.
conversational skills are not at the best moment now, but I leave you this space to say whatever you want to promote the new album, Xenotaph.
Thanks, man. Yeah, definitely check out Xenotaph. It's out on June 13th on Nuclear Blast Records. We couldn't be more proud of it and excited to bring it out. And yeah, look for us on the road too, because we are definitely going to be touring very soon. So there you go.
Well, thank you guys. Listen to Xenotaph very, very, very soon. Available for platform services. And subscribe and follow Metalargentumradio YouTube channel. Bye.